Hi guys, it's Crystal City, your homestead. Time for Thankful Thursday. So every once in a while, I'll do a Thankful Thursday because, excuse me, it's a word that I heard, and I did hear something this week, but then other things happened, and I wanted to look into doing something different. I'm not sure how it's going to come across or how good it will come, but I'm hoping that maybe it will help someone else out there going through the same thing. So let's start out in prayer, and then we're going to do something, and we're going to talk, and I can talk while I'm doing it. So, Heavenly Father, thank you so much for being here for us. I ask that you bless each and every person that even listens to this for just a second. I ask you to bless the world. We're going through so much with floods and loss of life and wars and just all kinds of things. And I think it's not just the U.S. and Canada and a few other countries. I think you need to wrap your arms around the entire world because it's kind of hurtful right now, and we could sure use your help. I ask that you guide us to the way that you feel that we need to go, and that we have the wisdom and courage to follow that. I ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so, as you know, I took some food to the homeless the other day. It only fed 4, but it made me feel good again. And I can't afford to go, like, an old person goes, do you do this? Do you do that? Well, I do what I can, okay? And, you know, if everybody could do what they can, then it might be a little bit better world. So on Monday I went to Horrocks, and I got it back there, but I got a huge bag of small red potatoes for $3.99. So I'm going to center what I'm doing around some of those potatoes. Now I'm going to fit them in these smaller containers, so I don't want big pieces, you know, but I don't want real tiny either. So I'm going to sit here and chop these, and we're going to boil them, obviously. I haven't put any water in there yet. And if I have extra, then I'll get more out, or I'll get more containers out. And if I don't have enough, then we'll do with what I got. You know what I mean? So, we can talk while I'm doing this. Let me give you my first, and these are washed, by the way. Let me give you my first verse. Proverbs 22, and it's 24 through 25. Do not make friends with the hot-tempered person. Do not associate with one easily angered, or you may learn their ways to get yourself ensnared. So my discussion today is letting go of toxic people. And, you know, I had this personally happen to me. And it's painful because, you know, you don't want to let go of people that you actually truly do love, and that one's not any good. That you know, you spent your life loving and caring about and wanting the best for them. But sometimes that same person that you love so much, sometimes their love is toxic. And when their love is toxic, all it does is continue to bring you down. And, you know, it takes you to a dark place as well. And, you know, not that we're not supposed to constantly turn our cheek and do all these other things, but at some point, people will continue to bring you down and hurt everything in your life. And that's kind of what happened to mine. I know, right? I'm telling you. I might have to actually wash up a few more, but maybe not. But I gotta get these used up because whenever they do a thing like that, they're always a little bit from, you know, being ready to not be good when they do it that cheap. Oh my gosh, you guys, they had so much broccoli that day. if Tom would have been more of a broccoli lover, I didn't even see how much it was, but I would have gotten some and blanched it and froze it, but he's not the biggest fan of broccoli. Okay, so 1 Corinthians 15:33. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. And I'm a firm believer in that. Like my dad used to say, birds of a feather flock together. And you know, it's really kind of true, you know, if you think about it, because if you hang out, you are with what you hang out with. You know what I mean? You really are. And if someone is destructive, even though, well, they may not think they're destructive because they're always playing a victim, if that makes sense. Everything is somebody else's fault. Everything else, somebody did this, somebody did that. And you and I both know that no relationship starts on one person's error. Sometimes it's to cover up things. Sometimes it's because they truly do feel like that they're a victim, even if they're not. And they want to, I think, they want to inflict the pain that they feel onto you, even if you aren't the one that caused that pain. You know what I mean? All right, Psalms 1:1-2. Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, take or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord. I think God wants us to always forgive. Okay, I think he didn't tell us to, what was it, 70 times 7 or something, that you turn your cheek. I don't remember what it is exactly, but, we're supposed to forgive, and we're supposed to love, and all those good things. But when you try to get toxicity out of your life, it isn't like you have to, all right, stop loving them, stop caring about them. It isn't that at all. But you do have to do what keeps you healthy, because like the verses say, if you fall into that, I really think that's going to be enough potatoes, but that's okay. But if you're not good for you or for God, then something's missing. Something severely is missing. And you don't want that either. I'm sure we've all had that person in our life that was just like, you love them, but you're like, the idea of like, oh my gosh, really, I got to deal with this again today. I really got to listen to this again today. All right, let me get some water on that. All right, so those are on boiling. The next thing I want to do is, I have some home canned taco meat. So I brought up 2 cans. And I looked for the rest of these that I have in the back room, but when me and Tom moved that second little freezer back there, I don't know what he did with them. So I grabbed a couple more containers I had in the refrigerator, in the cupboard, that I use for his lunches, and we can use those if we need. So we're going to take all of that taco meat and put it in this pan too. I'm not going to heat it up yet until, obviously, the potatoes are done. And I do have a little bit of water up here just in case it's too thick, but I don't think it's going to be. If you've never canned your own taco meat, it really is good. You guys should try it. I know I keep forgetting to use it too. But that's my home canned taco meat. Doesn't that look good? All right. So now, the next one is Galatians 5:9. A little yeast works through the whole batch of dough. And if you think about that, it only takes, what, a couple teaspoons of your yeast to do a couple big loaves of bread. I mean, that spreads pretty quickly. So think about what toxicity does, or hatred, or whatever it happens to be, how fast that can spread. And you don't want that to do that. You know what I mean? James 4:4. You adulterous people, don't you know that friendship in the world means enmity against God? Therefore, anyone who chooses to be a friend of the world becomes an enemy of God. So, as usual, I don't know if I'm making any sense. This is something that's coming from my heart and what I've been through. And I mean, I can't tell you who it is or whatever, but it caused a lot of great pain in my life. And if you can remember back 10 months or so ago, 9 months, there were videos that kind of, I was releasing some of my pain. But that pain has kind of brought its ugly head back, and you don't need that. You know, when you have people that lie about you, say horrible, mean things about you that are not true, when you have people that, I almost want to say, hurt you on purpose, because it distracts from their own pain. It distracts from their own things that they're doing that they shouldn't be. And you become that for a lack of better terms, that punching bag. And when you first have to let go of that, it's so painful. It is so painful, because this person you've loved for however long. Mine's been my whole life. But, you know, to let that go, I think that as people, we tend to, you know, like when you're a kid and you knew you were going to get negative, you know, like if you did something, like you're going to get in trouble. But if your parents were busy and they didn't have a whole lot of time for you, it didn't matter if it was good or bad attention. You just wanted the attention, right? Or, you know, when you were looking out for a boy or a girl and you were in school, and you know how boys used to hit the little girls and whatever. It didn't matter if it was negative attention. It was just attention. And then you got the girl to look at you and whatever. You know what I mean? And I think as adults, we don't go around socking people, you know. At least I hope you don't. But there's other ways for us to show that, you know, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but, you know, I'm sure I'm not the only person that's had to let go of a toxic relationship, a toxic person, a toxic situation. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a relationship, you know. Sometimes it's your job, sometimes it's your family, sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's the situation that you're in. It doesn't matter. And I'm sure all of us at one point have been in that where we're just like, this is draining me so much that I'm not even living anymore. And when it gets to that point, you're not living anymore. You're just going through the motions. You're going through, you know, daily things like, should I talk to them today? Will they talk to me? Blah, blah, blah. You know, is this going to change today? Is that going to change today? And your heart just keeps, you know, like, what? I really hope this makes sense today. I really do. But it's something that sometimes, even with me, you know, I have those things that haunt me or hurt me or whatever. And it's none of you, I can promise you. And it's not Tom or my kids or my grandkids. I can promise you that. It's none of that. I have a very good, solid marriage. I have wonderful children and grandchildren and daughter-in-laws, and just, I may not be rich, which is okay. You know, I live in a 900 square foot house that we've redone top to bottom, but does it have things that still need to be done? Yeah, it does. But, if I was to be here the rest of my life, that's okay too. You know, I don't, you know, I love that property up north, but if I never got anything like that, it's okay. I've got everything in life that makes me rich. I've got God and a husband and my beautiful kids and beautiful grandkids, and I have a roof over my head. And is my car getting a lot of miles? Yeah, but she still runs down the road just perfect. And I don't need all those things to make me happy. Like with you guys, you know, I mean, I do want my channel to grow big enough so that, you know, eventually I can retire, Tom. But I love the relationship that I have with those of you that comment and whatever. And I feel like I can be myself when I'm talking to you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to hide who I am. Now, do I cuss on here? No, I don't. But do I cuss in everyday life? Probably. Yeah. I don't use the Lord's name in vain or anything like that. But, you know, I do. Am I perfect outside of this? Absolutely not. Will I ever be? I keep praying to God. I hope you got lots of patience because, boy, I need some work. I've been working almost 5 years just on, you know, patience for, you know, crazy people driving. And I'm like, God, I hope you got a lot more time. I work really hard at it, but it just, we all fall short from grace. And, you know, these relationships, like I thought to myself, and I prayed on it a lot. And I was so afraid that God would not forgive me for turning my back and saying, enough. You can think that I want you in my life. You can think that I want to do this and that. No, I don't. I prayed to God and I turned my back. And it was probably one of the most painful things I've ever done in my life. Because I love this person, like, with all my heart. I still do. If they needed me, would I still come running? Yes, I would. But, you know, at some point, you can't let all that toxicity ruin your life as well. You can't continue to let people or things or whatever it happens to be bring you down to where you're not even good for yourself. You're not good for your family. You're not good for God. You're not good for anything. You're good for I don't know how to explain it. You're good for fulfilling their desire to have control, if that makes sense. I don't know how else to put it. But does it take time? Yes, it does. It takes time, and it takes a lot of heartbreak, and it takes a lot of, you know, missing them. Missing whatever it happens to be. A job or situation, a home, whatever it happens to be. We all have to mourn, you know what I mean, what we feel and how we feel. I hope I made sense. And no, I'm not going to say sorry. I hope that I made sense. I hope that it touched someone else to know that it's okay. That, you know, pray about whatever it is that you're trying to release and get away from, you know. And if you are the person that's causing that pain, pray to God that He helps you to, you know, not do that anymore. Because that can cause a lot of pain to people. And you don't want to be like that. But, you know, I've seen people that, well, I've been in relationships too that were not good for me. And I'm sure there's been others too that have been in the same situation. And you look back, you know, all these years later, and, you know, even though, you know, it's like, oh, I love that person. And then you get out of it and you're like, what was I thinking? You know, and it might take 15 years from then to see, like, what was I thinking? But I think that in the end, we come through this time and we see what's really important. Because if we are so tied up in whatever situation it happens to be, like I say, it could be a job, it could be a house, it could be a person, it could be anything. If we spend all of our time concentrating on that, where do we fit God in? Where do we fit in the people that really, truly do deserve our love and our affection and our attention and our help? Where is it? It's nowhere to be found because we're concentrated on the person that hurts us the most, or the job, or the house. But I don't have to keep saying that, but you know, anything that happens to be toxic. And that's why, you know, in these verses we see that when we do that, we put everything above God, even the things that aren't good for us. And that's probably not a good thing. Like, I like that one, 1 Corinthians 15:33. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. And that's true. Like my dad said, you know, birds of a feather flock together. And if those people are, you know, not the best, or the job isn't whatever it happens to be, what do you think that's going to roll off into you? I thought I heard it go over for a minute, but it didn't. So anyway, I know I'm just ranting as usual. I don't know how you guys put up with me. Anyway, I'm going to finish cooking these and then I'll be back. Alright, so I got them all put in. It took 8 containers to use up all those potatoes, but that's okay. So now I'm going to take that taco meat and I'm going to put it over top. So it's not just plain potatoes that they're eating. And I think I should have just enough to do this too. That works perfect. Now, the next thing I have is my home canned cheese. I thought I popped it. There we go. And we're going to add cheese over top of that. And I got 2 jars up here, so hopefully it's enough. I'll have to open up that second jar, but that's okay. These big ones, even though they look bigger, doesn't mean it's actually got more food in it than the other ones do. Just one's longer and one's deeper, that's it. Whoa, that one gets quite a bit of cheese. But that's all right. I'm sure they can use the dairy. And it'll help cover the potato taste. There. Just like that. Alrighty. I know this is not the healthiest of meals, but our food, the place where they can eat is actually where they're only serving just breakfast and dinner now, so they're not getting any lunches at all at the missions. So I figured this is 8 people that will at least get a lunch, you know, regardless if it's that healthy or not. I mean, if you've seen some of the food they feed them, you'd be like, yeah, that's pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to package these all up and put them in a bag, and I'm going to go downtown. I'm not going to video it. I'm just going to go pass out the food and come home. But I hope that I made some sense today. I really do. And if you're in a relationship with whatever it happens to be, and it's not healthy for you, think about, you know, what it's doing to you and your family and everything else. And pray through it and see what God tells you to do. Know that you're loved. I love you. So do so many other people. And my love will never fade. I don't just go away because, oh, it's the right, it's the thing to do. I'm not like that. So, be loved, be blessed, be a blessing to other people. Feel other people's pain when you need to. But don't take it upon yourself to take it all away. Because sometimes you can't do that. So, I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. You guys have a blessed day. Be a blessing, and I'll see you at supper.